Hello, fellow Haskellers, and welcome to Giggles is You, the show where you get to laugh about my mistakes while I desperately try to re-implement my favorite puzzle game, Papa Is You, in Haskell. And as usual, don't hesitate to ask questions if you are lost about what am I trying to do, what is the game supposed to be doing, or questions about Haskell itself, because my goal is to show you Haskell and what Haskell can do, and not to show that I can do it. Alright, so let's get started. Yes, laughing at my mistakes. The mistake last time was that if I move towards the left, I get stopped by the wall, whereas if I walk towards the right, I also get stuck by the wall, but this time I can step on top of all of the other characters, which are you. So I want that to happen in both directions, not just when I walk towards the right. Let's try to figure out why is it that it only works in one direction and not both. And I suspect it has to do with this line that we added last time, because the way in which I implemented it, let me show you what is it exactly that I changed. So, changed a lot of things. I don't see it in the diff. Maybe if I navigate to the code, something about moving, hidden rules, move you, right? So when I move all of the characters which are you in a particular direction, I need to know how to divide those sequences of tiles into chunks, each of which will move towards the right. And in particular, if there are three characters, and the rightmost character is blocked by something on the right, which is stop or the end of the screen, I want to make a chunk consisting of those two characters, not those three, so that those two move towards the right, and this one doesn't move at all. Well, this was working fine when there was a cell on the right that was stuck, but it was not working fine when on the right there was the edge of the screen, because then, since I'm only iterating over all of the cell up to and including this one, then I was not encountering after it a cell that was stop, and so I was not doing the logic in order to split this chunk of 3 into a chunk of 2 and a chunk of 1, or rather no chunk for this one. So the way in which I try to fix it is to walk past the edge of the screen to add one more entry, and that's what the +1 that I showed you was supposed to be doing, and it is doing it fine when we're going towards the right, because low x is a small number, high x is a big number, +1 is 1 past the edge of the screen, so it works fine. But when I move towards the right, in the file I was looking at here, I'm constructing the chunks that I want to move, like this one is a chunk, out of rows that I want to iterate like from left to right, and I'm doing that for the first row and the second row and the third row. But I'm doing that from left to right when I am moving towards the right. If I am moving towards the left, I'm doing that from right to left. And the problem there, I think, is that instead of doing it one past the left edge, I'm probably doing one past the right and then everything up to the 0th position, and not one past the 0th position. So now that I've just described that, I think that we can fix that easily. Wherever this level rows thing is, levels, I thought I was already defining level rows by tweaking both sides, low x minus 1 and high x plus 1. So does this work? All right, so moving towards the left. Oh yes, they are overlapping. Excellent. And if I move towards the right, it will still work, of course. Yes, and if I walk up, oh, it doesn't work for up, and it doesn't work for down. So presumably, you need another minus here. I'm going from the biggest down. So I increment one there and increment one there. So this is slightly scary because it means I'm indexing outside of the level. So maybe it will crash. But I think that I've carefully added some checks before all of the places where I would index outside of the level in order to interpret it as a tile that is stopped regardless of the rules. So left still works, right still works, up now works, and bottom works as well. Excellent, I fixed it. Woohoo! That was well, that's not it for the stream, of course, but that was it for the bug that I left to myself last time. Because I thought it would be hard, but it turned out to be much easier than I thought. I guess it's easier with a fresh mind. Okay, so I've just demonstrated that it works by testing it by running the app, but I would like to also demonstrate that it works by running the tests, and here I have a thing which runs the test automatically, and it was failing. Well, it runs the test automatically like every time I fail. I change the file. It's not as convenient as I wish it would be. I wish it would rerun the test when I change the library or the test file, but I only managed to configure it so that it reruns when I change the test file. Anyway, it clearly passes now. So let's add more tests. Let's see. Walk into an obstacle mid-level. Walk into an obstacle at world's end. Yeah, that's when we're at the edge of the screen. Failing test because it happened that this particular test was failing when I was moving towards the left. I guess I could keep a test for that. Let's see, what else do I want to test? So those were already testing what happens to the elements that are on the left of something that is stopped. So the W walks on top of the X, but the Y moves out. Oh, what happens if there's two S's like that? If there's another thing that is stopped here, then I think the Y should stay in place, right? And why isn't Z moving? Maybe I'm not looking at this right. The S was here. So we had WXS. Okay, nothing moved onto the S. Okay, so the Y stayed here. And I'm extending the level. There's another thing that is stuck on the right here. And oh, and Z is now towards the right as well. So it was here and it moved. I feel like there's not the same number of rows indeed. I want it to move one cell or so. So does that work? Well, now it will call failing test, which is not what I want. I want it to run walk onto obstacle mid-level. It passed. Okay, so I was worrying for no reason. Okay. What would be a more interesting test than that? Well, maybe we're done with adding tests then. This one's no longer failing. Don't know what that is. My test. I think we were already writing tests like that one. And we did test the situation described by this ASCII art. And yeah, that's all of our tests. Welcome to obstacles at world's end. Okay, so I think we're done, and we'll just add some more tests if there are more features that I implement and want to test. So that means it's time to add a new feature. No, wait. I remember there was a warning that scrolled by and had like for several episodes in a row I've been saying, oh, I remember this warning. It's to remind me to fix a thing that I keep falling into. I'll do that next episode, and before the end of the episode, the thing bites me. So this time, let's fix the warning before it bites me. So instead of running the tests, let's just load the library code, and GHCD should print the warning. Excellent. So the warning is in the same file we were just in, level line 58. Pattern match not exhaustive. Right, I remember. It's because I have this syntax, I think in assets. Well, we were just looking at that syntax actually, but there's another example in assets where this ASCII art corresponds. Is there a way that I can see both? Yes, if I run it from the right, stat run. Okay, so this ASCII this ASCII art corresponds to this level. So the S is she, then the A is A, and the lowercase a is the A text as opposed to A object, and so on. I needed, in order to print a nice error message for to print a nice error message when the tests fail, I needed to convert from not just from the ASCII art to the internal representation of the level, but also in the other direction. And in doing so, I added this dot syntax. 2 episodes ago, I wanted to detail when I implemented that. It's so that I can describe stacked objects. But what I want to talk about now is not the dot, but the fact that, well, each of those is a single character, right? And that seemed fine to limit myself to single characters like A and B, but the internal representation is more flexible than that. I can take any string. And that's problematic because there was a bug in which this S, I was representing it, I thought it was being represented as the string S in that internal representation, but in fact it's a special case. I match on S and G and use sheets and giggles instead. And so in order to avoid that mistake, I let myself this warning here, because here I'm only matching on the case where there is a single character and not on the case where there is a string, and I should probably use a better representation. So object is currently being parameterized by a name, and currently a name is just a string. So can I move name out and here, or would that break everything? It doesn't break anything. Okay, good. So all the modules that were importing whatever the file in which name was defined are also importing this module. That's good. Okay, so a string is like too general. I'm only using single letters and Giggles and sheets. So I'm going to make an algebraic data type representing all of those possibilities. Giggles, sheets, or single character char. Okay, so now this will presumably break everywhere. Deriving show and deriving eek. Apparently, sometimes I write it in alphabetical order and sometimes not. I prefer alphabetical order. Okay, so those were easy type errors to fix. Next, send this file 33. Okay, excellent. I get the opportunity to make this more precise. I was previously returning strings. Now I can return the Giggles and the sheets value. Oh, text is also special. So now this will remind me to match on all of the cases. It will remind me to treat text specially. So that's good. And multiple declaration of text. Okay. Yeah, there's one right here. Let's just say the text name. Giggles name, sheets name, char name. There we go. So let's use that everywhere. And 60. Well, now there's only a single character, so I can write char name C in order to fix the warning. Char name to occur C. Alright, 69. I can print char name C as that character. Char name C. And I'm already handling the case of text name as part of is special entity, I believe. Because, yeah, text is right here. What does it say? Sheets name for... Oh, okay, because lowercase g is the text object representing Giggles, lowercase s is the text object representing sheets, and lowercase t is the text object representing all text objects. Okay, so that's why this one looks different than the others. There's no object version of... there's no capital T. Oh, if there's no capital T, what is that? Should I detect that somehow? I don't know. No instance for ord name. Sure, let's add more instances, whatever. Like, I don't think we should always be blindly adding all of the instances which GC recommends, because we have to think about whether it makes semantic sense for that particular type. This way GC can help us to catch those situations in which we are using a value improperly. Like, if it was asking me for a num instance, for example, like it doesn't make sense to add Giggles to sheet. But ord instances, eek instances, show instances, those are very common for any kind of data type. The ord one is useful in order to put it in a map, which I guess I'm doing somewhere. Presumably in my inner representation of the level, yeah, I have a map from entity to position, I think. That sounds weird. Would make more sense from position to entity. Oh, I have both, I think. I have an array of all of the positions and the stack of entities they contain. And I have a map from entity to position that I don't think I'm using anywhere, but the goal is to eventually make some smooth animations. That the character, when I press right, moves to the next cell instead of teleporting immediately. That will look nicer, but I want to focus on the game mechanic first. Alright, no instance for read. So that's an example where it seems, instead of just like blindly accepting what GHC tells me, I'm a bit suspicious. I don't remember needing read, so let's see where it is needed. No instance for read. Yeah, why does it want read? Arising from the first field of name is you. Oh, it's in a different file. So rules 15. Okay, it wants read. I still don't know why it wants read for. Oh, I know why it wants reads for rules, is because of the feature that we implemented a couple of episodes ago that allows us to debug by enabling and disabling features. Well, I won't be able to run it because there's no read instance right now. So if I do add the read instance, I'll be able to demonstrate. Oh, that was not the last error. Maybe we can just run whatever has been built last. Can I find an executable? This one looks like an executable. Okay, so I can type. I always want to write Giggles as you, but I have not yet implemented the parser, so I have to write the internal representation. Name is you Giggles. And now, oh, Giggles was already me. Name is you Sheets. Okay, so now I can move both Giggles and Sheet, the ghost and the robot. And the text that I was parsing, name is you, I'm parsing it very naively using the read instance for that internal representation. So that's why I need a read instance for rules and thus for all of the types which rules use. All right, so what's the next type error? 23. That's a name, which should now be text name. And the next are the remaining. Okay, there's no more type errors, but now there are warnings. So let's see. In levels 65, pattern matches are not exhaustive. So this is a function from maybe entity to character, and yeah, okay, I see the random. I think I am providing an implementation for all of the values of type maybe entity. It's just that you cannot see it because it doesn't see that in special entities here that object Giggles name, text Giggles name, and so on match everything. Is that true? What about object text name? I think there's no such thing. Okay, so just to hush the warning, or X, whatever, I'll throw an exception. Well, I think the the warning is already a fine message. pattern match non-exhaustive. So this will tell me exactly what's wrong if this error fails at runtime, but currently I'm confident that it will not fail at runtime. Oh, I'm not using X. So let's just show for which value it is not exhaustive. All right, other warnings. Okay, so what should I do next? Well, I think I should run it just to make sure that things seem to work smoothly. I guess I should also run the test. Oh, it failed. Why did it fail? Oh, I know. In GHCAD, I was only looking at and recompiling the code in the library, but I've divided my application in 3 pieces: the tests, the modules for the library, and the executable. And so, well, apparently both the tests and the executable are now failing. So that reminds me of a blog post which was published today. Let's see if I can find it. In the post, Gabriel recommends, well, a way to divide the... he recommends not using a types module. Oops, I did that wrong. And he recommends naming conventions. I did that wrong. I should have began all of my modules with Giggles is you dot something. And he recommends putting all of the modules in the library, and then to write very thin wrappers for the test and the application. This way it becomes much easier. Like we don't get into the kind of trouble I've just encountered, in which I think I've fixed all of the problems, or that I've only fixed the type errors in the library, but not in the other components. So let's restructure the project according to Gabriel's recommendations. Let's see. So in package, I said that everything, source contains a bunch of things, app contains main and test. Let's move. Well, let's see. What's an app? There's a lot of stuff. What's in app main? Too much stuff. How can I refer to it? Oh, well, if it was called Giggles is you dot main, then I would be able to refer to it from that main. Okay, so let's just change everything. One should probably commit what I have so far. Let's see, I changed the name. Oh, I shouldn't commit it because everything is broken. Okay, let's first fix the type errors in the app and the test, and then I'll restructure everything so that I don't have this problem again. Okay, so let's do it first in, let's say, the test. So, 65, name is you name. So all of those are char names, and this one is its name. Well, I want a list of characters. I guess I can just do this, or I could change the. Yeah, I don't think it's very clear to be using the string syntax when I mean a list. So let's replace the double quotes with a single quote. Okay, so now I'm iterating over those 4 characters. Okay, and 78, the exact same thing happens. Char name and sheet's name. Excellent. Tests are passing. Let's now do the same thing with the other target. What are the target names? Stack. Okay, Giggles is U EXE. Giggles is U. Draw 17. Sheet's name. Giggles name. Okay, so that's presumably... What am I doing here? I'm drawing a sprite. Oh, right. So that's the case in which I'm drawing a single letter inside of a green circle. So that's char name. And the name is a single character, but it was previously a string. So I need to wrap the character in a list to make that a string. And this was a string. This is now a name. It's fine. It's fine. I'll just pattern match on all of the cases. So if it's Giggles, then I want the word Giggles. If it's sheets, I want the word sheets. And if it's a char name, I want a word, just that character. And looks like that's enough. 93. Or is it a different file? No, it's a different file. 93. The char name E is U. Char Giggles name. And the text name. It's not in scope. So what do I need to import? Can I define that in rules? I thought I had moved it here. Seems gone? Where is name? I put it in level, but it could just as well be associated to rules, because rules and the level both refer to the name. So I guess that's why I had originally put it in types for like miscellaneous kinds of types. Not sure how I'll restructure that in a moment when I try to follow Gabriel Gonzalez's suggestions. But for now, same and modify something in the library, so I need to install the library before GHCMD can see it. There are warnings in draw. I am not matching on everything. Object text name can't actually happen. What if it did? I guess we could draw it as the word text on top of the green circle. Yeah, that's the object text name. And the text name Oh, that's possible actually. We want to render it as text. It's used in the kernel. Text name. All right. So that solves all of the warnings. So I want to commit what I have. I have made the names more precise, but that's not the only thing I changed, is it? Yes, I also fixed the fact, like moving to the left and up and right. So maybe I can connect that independently. So this is the change, only change, I believe. What was that? Was the change to a test that was relevant? No, that's still related to making the types more precise. And then I made the test slightly better, I guess. Whatever. Step on other views when walking left, up, down. Okay. And everything else. More precise type for games. Okay, so now I want to restructure the modules to follow Gabriel Gonzalez's recommendations. So I'll move all of the modules from app into SRC. I'll move. Is there more than one main? Oh, it moved to subfolder app. So all of the files inside of app I want to be directly in SRC, and I don't want the app folder anymore. And if I try to do the same thing with test, yeah, now there will be a clash because there will be two mains. So let's call it test. Okay, and now let's create a folder Giggles is you, move everything from source into Giggles is you, move that back into SRC, so that now I can make all of the modules begin with Giggles is you, all of the module names. So I want the library, which now I'm going to pass everything, and it will complain that all of my modules have a name that doesn't match the file location, so I need to add Giggles is you dot everywhere. And that's it. It's not happy about something. Oh, because of course the one that I've renamed from main to test is no longer called main, it's now called test. Alright. Oh, and now of course all of the imports are wrong. That should be just as easy to fix. Okay. Cannot load state. So that's because in package I said that some of those have dependencies. MTL I was only using in test before, and I now want to allow using it anywhere in the library. I just need to restart GTD so it sees my changes to package.yml. Okay, so I thought that it would just be a simple renaming. I'm surprised that there are type errors. Let's see what those are. So, Giggles is you test. Char name is not in scope because it's in types now. And that was it. And I still need some files, just some stubs, like in the article, something like this. No, not this one. This one is the module inside of foo, so inside of Giggles is you. But here is a stub. So in app, I guess I deleted my app folder. There's a main.hs, module main, which imports Giggles is you.main, and I just call it. I can't say main equals main, so import qualified. Actually, can't I just export that main? I don't need to write a function that calls it. Can't I put file for writing? Oh, because I've moved the app folder away, not just the file. So from inside of Vim, I can create the app folder, and now I can save. Excellent. And did the exact same thing for test/main. This time I import gigglesu.test, and it also exports a main that I guess I could call test. So here I have a main which calls test. That makes sense. So in Giggles is you test. So main here, call it test all. I like that. Because that's what it's doing. It's running all of the tests. Currently I have 2 tests. And I can run individual tests if I want to. Okay, so does this work? If I run stack test, it should just use the tin wrapper around the library and just run all of the tests. It did not work. And it's a parse error. What? Okay, so for one of the last times, I'm going to use GCID with the test library to see what's up. So in test main, well, yeah, I'm specifying what I export, but that's fine. That should not be a parse error. What is wrong? Nothing. Okay. I guess it's because when I typed stack test, in addition to compiling and running the test, for some reason, Stack decides to also compile the executable. So the problem is probably actually in the executable. So same thing for the last time. I'll be using GHCID on the executable, and from now on I'll be using it on the library instead. And now I can see what the parse error is. The main module is M with a capital letter, and it exports the main function with a lowercase m. Right. Let's make sure to add the folder. It still sees them as deleted rather than moved. Oh, source/app. What? No. Okay, that makes more sense. It sees all of them as renames, pretty much. Okay. So restructure app as per Gabriel's suggestion. Cool. All right, so I want to stick to about an hour per stream, so let's see if there's something very small I can implement. Maybe push. Would push be easy to implement? So currently I have these pieces of text in the middle as stop, so that when I try to move on top of them, I'm just myself blocked, I am not moving. But I could change it so that the thing onto which I am trying to move is, instead of breaking up the chunk into two chunks, I could extend the chunk to include the thing being moved. That should work. That sounds relatively easy. So let's do that test first, actually. So nope, not in test anymore. In Giggles is a test. Maybe we can even change one of the existing things. One of the existing tests. No, I think it's different. So if I'm trying to push, let's say Giggles pushes a box, then it pushes a box. There's nothing special there. So after it pushes the box, we have both moved towards the right. Easy. So I want Giggles to be U, B for the box, to be stop or push or both. I think in the game you can be both push and stop. I think because it's very similar to So I'm thinking about like the interaction between stop and push. If you have a box that is stop and push, I think if you push it, it will succeed even if it's stop. But if it's then against a wall, if it's not stop, can you then go through? I'm not actually sure. I'd have to try it in the game. Like in the real Belize game. But when it's not a thing that you're pushing, maybe that's even easier to implement in the remaining few minutes we have. If we have 3 characters that are U, but they are also stop, then we do want the behavior that I changed at the very beginning, that I wanted them to step on top of each other. Well, that's only something I want to happen if they are not stop. So let's make a very similar test. Walk onto obstacle while stop. Okay, so if W and X are I don't know why I'm making so many different characters. Let's just have a bunch of Giggles. And they are trying to move onto an obstacle that is stop. But Giggles is also stop. So Giggles name is you, but also Giggles name is stop. So that should not work. In fact, nothing should happen. That's a pretty boring test. Let's say that there was a giggle over there, and it is moving towards the right, but those two are not. And even more interesting, if there is a giggle that is on top of a stop, it should still escape to stop. So if there's another giggle here, another stop here, no, the stop is below, there's a giggles on top, let's say there's yet another giggle there, and there's room to move out. Then at the end, let's see, so the leftmost giggle has moved one towards the right, the other two giggles stay where they are because they can't move on top of the stop, and then this giggle stays what it is because of the stop, but the giggle that was on top of the stop is now liberated. It has moved out of the object that is stopped. Okay, so I think that's a good test, and I can test it without running the actual test suite, just by dash test equal just this arbitrary IO action that is part of my library now and not part of my test suite. So does what I want to happen happen? Probably not, because I didn't implement it yet. It's not in scope. Why not? Walk onto obstacle while stop. It's right there. I want to add it to the list of all the tests, but that's not the problem. Maybe I need to like specify the module name or something. Didn't ask me to do that before. No module named Giggles is you. The test is important. Okay, well that's weird. So like everything that is in SRC should be part of it. Could it be that stack did not regenerate the Giggles is you.cabal file? No, there's a whole bunch of them, including that test? Yeah, including that test. So what's the problem? Why is there no module Giggles is you imported? I always worry when I type Control-C twice. Is there something still running somewhere? It looks like I have a bunch of things still running from other projects. I'll deal with that later. So when I do ghcid, I tell it which command. So this is the command. Oh! exe, that's not what I want. I want the library, of course. So the library. Okay, so now I should be able to call walk onto obstacle while stuff, presumably without specifying the module, because there's only one in the file in the project, which is why I renamed the main from Giggles as you test to test all, because then there would be two main, the one in Giggles as you main and the one in Giggles as you test. So just in case I ever wanted to run main from ghcd. Oh, and I remember now that it doesn't give me any feedback if it succeeded, so I need to add it myself. Success, passed. Wait, it passed? I didn't have to do anything in order to get the behavior that I wanted for moving while the thing that is you is also stop. So that's good news actually, because like there are so many rules in the game, it would be very difficult to implement anything if those rules, like if I had to write some special case for every like combination of rules. And so the fact that the behavior that I want for stop when you're also you falls out of the implementation I wrote for the interaction with things that are you and things that are stuff that are not you. It's very reassuring. I'm hoping that there are many other rules whose interaction will fall out just as a consequence of a single implementation and not one implementation for every combination. All right. So it's been an hour, so I think I will leave implementing push for next time. So thanks for joining me on this journey to implement a cool game in Haskell. I think it's a good fit. I'm still enjoying doing it, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. Ciao!